Hello everyone and welcome back guys to round 20 of season 2 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory Career Mode, where today we're here at the Brazilian Grand Prix. And if you guys did miss out on the last one from this series, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. You know, it was a very interesting race at the Mexican Grand Prix. But yeah, today we're here at Brazil, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, and really looking forward to this one. Obviously after the, well, I won't try and leave too many spoilers in the start of this video, but after a fairly decent Mexican Grand Prix, you know, we came into this weekend full of confidence. We also had another development part completed on the car, this time for the chassis, which now means we're ahead of Red Bull overall, which once again is something I never expected to say in the Williams Road to Glory Career Mode. We're basically tied with Ferrari as well, so safe to say it's been going quite well in the recent weeks, and we do really, you know, we are potentially lining ourselves up for a good chance to fight for the title as we move into Season 3. I had a couple of questions from you guys about what I'm going to do when I win the championship with Williams, and it's sort of a bit of a toss-up at the moment. I'm probably going to leave it down to you guys. I have like 4 options, and it will just be down to you guys to decide who I go with for Season 4. But obviously, that's if we win the title in Season 3. It's still, you know, we don't know what might happen just yet. Maybe, you know, Ferrari will pile on the upgrades, or Sauber will become OP, or anything like that. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And as we move on though into free practice, very rare that I show free practice, but just thought I'd explain something a little to you. Now, I actually went back and re-watched the full Mexican Grand Prix video to look at the setup I loaded, and I usually have sort of a baseline setup that what I do when I move Grand Prix is I just change the wings from that setup, basically. You know, sometimes depending on the track, like Monaco for example, I'll change a couple of other things because obviously it is such a downforce based circuit. And other tracks, you know, like Monza, I'll do the exact opposite because, well, it's such a top-end speed-based circuit. But unfortunately, as we went to Brazil, I loaded the wrong setup. Rather than a good, stable race setup, I loaded up a time trial setup. And at the time, I just thought it was free practice, lack of grip, everything, you know, sort of normal like that. You know, the track wasn't quite rubbered in yet. Maybe, you know, the Brazilian Grand Prix circuit, you know, it does struggle to rubber up as well as, you know, other tracks do on the calendar. So I was, you know, still, although I didn't feel particularly confident with the setup, I still felt that we had a good chance as we move into qualifying here. But yeah, so after I looked back at the footage, turns out rather than loading the proper setup, I accidentally uploaded the time trial setup. Okay for 1 lap pace when you hook it up is basically in a nutshell there. For those of you guys that, you know, sort of do time trial and league racing, you'll know just how unstable time trial setups can be on F1 2018. You know, they're really quick if you get it right, but getting it right can be a very difficult task on the whole there. So yeah, not exactly what I wanted as we go into the Brazilian Grand Prix weekend. But let's just move on then into qualifying here. Coming to the end of my first lap, and it actually hadn't been too bad of a run here. We hadn't made any big mistakes, but it had just been a fairly safe lap on the whole. Up towards the line, it is going to be provisional P4. Sebastian Vettel is going to go straight away another 4/10 quicker than myself towards the end of that session. As you can see, with sort of 10 minutes to go, we were all the way down to about P12. You know, it was very tightly bunched. A couple of guys that had really quick laps in the early stages of the session, but it was just a case of seeing where we would end up towards the latter stages of the session. You can see by this point we're about P14, so we're gonna give ourselves 2 minutes, 2 minutes to go on the clock, because, you know, it's a 1-minute lap track around Brazil. And then, unfortunately, the autopilot decides it'll start me very early on around the lap. And now, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced this glitch, but basically, from what I gather, it assumes, you know, say, for example, 30 seconds has passed from when you leave the pits at any place around the circuit. So, yeah, I'm not really too sure what to make of that one. You know, we should have easily been able to get out on another lap. It's just obviously that balance between trying to make sure you're out not too early and, of course, not too late. Yeah, after that, we're not going to be able to get another run in Q1, and that means we're out of qualifying. So certainly this Brazilian Grand Prix weekend has not been one to remember just yet. But, you know, we've still got the race on a time trial setup on the whole. But Lewis Hamilton would go provisionally pole on a 1:06.0. What a nutty lap that was by him. That is absolutely fantastically done on the whole lap by the Mercedes driver. Obviously, the title has already been wrapped up a good 2 rounds ago now. Obviously, Kimi Räikkönen, with that dominant display in the second half of the season overall, would come through for the Drivers' World Championship. But let's move on then into the Brazilian Grand Prix. Not quite looking forward to this one now. Everything so far this weekend has gone basically wrong, but last year Valtteri Bottas would come through for the race victory, 12 seconds clear of Sebastian Vettel, with Lewis Hamilton third and Kimi Raikkonen in P4. My teammate Lance Stroll would barely miss out on a point there, all the way down in P11 with myself, all the way down in P14 towards the end of that race. But Verstappen, Sainz, Magnussen, Alonso, Pierre Gasly and Brendan Hartley, Toro Rosso getting a double points haul, where this year they've barely got 1 point between them. That's quite shows how much times have changed in this Formula 1 season. It also does go to show how sophisticated the sort of the development system is on this game, how brilliant it really is, about how much sort of chopping and changing you can really get in a Formula 1 here, which is obviously really good to see on the whole. But yeah, as we move on then, let's have a quick run down of the grid order. Hopefully in just a second get a look at that beautiful safety car. It does sound absolutely amazing as well. I will say that from first-hand experience. But yeah, obviously Kimi Raikkonen has wrapped up the World Championship. Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, though, still have that 1 point difference going into the penultimate round of the season. I'm sure both of those guys would like to get that P2 overall, well, behind a dominant Kimi Raikkonen, who is, well, basically a pensioner at this stage. Obviously, this is effectively 2019, so, well, obviously I don't know quite, can't remember quite how old Kimi Raikkonen is, but Lewis Hamilton would take pole by 0.6 of a second over Raikkonen, Ocon, Max Verstappen, Valtteri Bottas and Danny Rick. Charles Leclerc, Nico Hülkenberg, Lance Stroll, my teammate, having a very good job in P9 ahead of Carlos Sainz, around at the top 10 with Seb, Ericsson, myself, K-Mag. Really, I should have probably put a fresh engine in the car. Van Dorn, Gasly, Romain Grosjean, Sergio Perez, Brendan Hartley and Fernando Alonso round out the grid there. So a lot of penalties all up and down the order there. Quite a few drivers opting for a fresh engine as we come into this penultimate race of the season here. But ready then on the grid, it's going to be a fairly sort of simple two-stop Grand Prix. We might try and stretch that out into a one-stop depending on how the first stint goes. But ready then on the grid for the Brazilian Grand Prix. 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And it's lights out and away we go. They're actually off to a fairly okay start on the whole. We're going to have K-Mag on my inside as we come in towards turn 1 here. Going to try and give him a bit of a squeeze. But Magnussen is going to absolutely send it down the inside of pretty much everyone there. In towards T1 then we got, I think that was Stoffel Van Dorn. Tries to look around the outside it through turn 1 to the inside of turn 2. But we'll be able to hold on to that position. That was, yeah, a very weird and wonderful start to this Brazilian Grand Prix here as we now come down in towards the second sector. Yellow flags are already out there. You can see cars are 2-3 wide as we come down in towards the bold part of this circuit here as we now come up the hill once again into the long flowing right-hander. Really satisfying when you get this one right there. Unfortunately, I run into the back of Seb. Seb runs into the back of Ericsson there and he's going to lose half of his front wing there. Fortunately, somehow we get away with no damage there. I think it was somehow wheel-to-wheel contact between myself and Seb, so we're going to be able to go up around the inside of him. It'll move to the outside for the next hairpin there, but around the outside of Marcus Ericsson we go there as well, and what a move that was. Now up into P12 of this Grand Prix. Ericsson is going to be able to get the switchback move as we come in towards the final proper corner here of Jung Sao. Unfortunately, we dip the wheel on the grass, gets spanned sideways there. Fortunately, we do get off quite lucky from that one. Perez is just going to completely run into the back of me. What a carnage first lap this has been in the Brazilian Grand Prix there. Seb's going to dive into the pit. Sergio is going to have to follow him there as well. They've both got a huge amount of front wing damage off that opening lap there. And now we've got Van Dorn and Grosjean both having a ding-dong as we come in towards turn 1. Onto the end though of lap 2, you can see we're all over the back now of Stoffel Van Dorn here as we come out of the final corner. And there's going to be really nothing that McLaren's going to be able to do against this missile in a straight line Williams there as we go right around his outside. No DRS needed or anything like that. Unfortunately, lock up in towards someone that's going to give Van Dorn the opportunity to come back, and he does back out as we come through turn 2. So now we're on to lap 3 of this Grand Prix. We haven't actually made up any places so far, which is probably not ideal. But now on towards the end of lap 4, we've got Brendan Hartley starting to pile on the pressure, which I never thought I'd really say against a Toro Rosso here. But, clearly Toro Rosso feeling a little bit more confident around this Brazilian Grand Prix circuit there. Brendan's going to try and look down the inside in towards turn 1 here. We just carried no confidence on the brakes through that first corner there. Clip the wheels on the curb on turn 2. And that's us in the wall and out of the race. Not that's, yeah, certainly a weekend to forget on the whole. As you can just see coming down in towards turn 1. Yeah, you see we've already dipped the wheels out slightly there. We clipped the wheel on the curb on turn 2 and by that point we've already lost it. I tried to actually line the car up square with the wall, because sometimes you can sort of get away with just losing the front wing. If you do that, we'll sort of try and have a bit of a better look at that again in slow motion. You can see as we come through turn 2, we've already lost the back end by this point. You know, we're not going to be able to get the car around absolutely normally there. You can see by this point we're already, you know, we've already squared off the corner. And then, yeah, at this point you can see I try and straighten up the lock, can't get the back end back round at the right point, and just dink the wheel at completely the wrong angle there, and that is us out of the Brazilian Grand Prix there. And as I said, a weekend that really we just need to forget. So that is why, hopefully, I'm going to try and hope that you guys forget about it as well, because I'm going to be hopefully uploading the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix later on today. Yep, for the first time in the whole of Season 2, we're going to try and go for a double upload, although it'll probably end up as a triple due to, obviously, where I do the stats at the end of the season there. But yeah, Lewis Hamilton comes through for the win ahead of Rixon, Ricardo Verstappen. Lance doing a very good job in P5 ahead of Bottas, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Charles Leclerc, and Carlos Sainz round out the points. In terms of the Drivers' World Championship, well, it looks like Lewis now has been able to claim that P2 with that win, with Seb scoring no points now. Makes him 1 point, 1 point clear no matter what Seb does in the final race there. We're still just holding on to P6. Bottas is 9 points clear, with Verstappen at 7 behind, with Charles Leclerc just a little bit further down the order. But yeah, hopefully, you know, you guys can sort of, well, I can only apologise for all the issues. Everything that could have went wrong basically went wrong in the Brazilian Grand Prix there. So yeah, as I said, I will be uploading Abu Dhabi later on today. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Make sure you do like and subscribe if you're new around here. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.